Today's topic is basically going to be about making memories with your kids. So, one of the things that people one of the things that people really focus on and get fearful of is that their ex is going to turn their child. That they're going to poison the kid and it's going to destroy everything. Now, okay, let's be honest, that is true. There's a lot of that going on. But that is focusing on the wrong thing. When you're focusing on what your ex is doing and you're focusing on what's going on, you're missing the opportunity to really make meaningful change with your child. One example I can give you of this is like right now. I'm brought my daughter, my youngest 14, up here and up to the mountains. It's not like we have a lot of activities going on. We explored, we drove around, we set up camp, we walked around a little bit. It wasn't like it was a big thing. But for her, it is a big thing. For her, it was the experience and me giving my time and us doing something together. That's the key. You gotta stop focusing on what your toxic ex is trying to do in the game they're trying to play. Now, let me back up. Obviously, you just can't ignore anything they're doing, right? I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that we spend way too much time. I did the same thing in the beginning parts of this, where that's what you're focused on. You're focused on how do you counter their move. When they're saying something, how do you tell the kids it's not true? How do you defend yourself? How do you defend yourself against anybody, even if it's not kids? It's everybody else is involved. And we typically get into this mode where you're trying to defend yourself. And if you guys have been, anybody who's new, this concept may be new. People who've been around the channel for a while, this will be, common, are already known, is that your actions dictate everything. You can say whatever the hell you want. You can say, I'm not a monster, or they're lying, whatever. You just have to live your life as if this toxic person who's trying to undermine you isn't there. What I mean by that is you get to the point where you're living your life. If you have a flying monkey, then instead of saying why it's not true, you can kind of just blow it off and say, well, that's what you want to believe, but my actions don't show that, and walk away. Again, like going back to the kid thing, is it when you can give them your time, give them your ear, give them your understanding, it's like the antidote for parental alienation. Now, I get that people who don't have their kids with them or who've already been alienated, it's a lot tougher, and it is. And I'm not saying that it wasn't tough for me in the beginning, because it was. Things were really tough. The seeds were set. My actions were not demonstrating the opposite. They were demonstrating what was being said, and I was systematically pushing my kids away. If I would have continued down that course, I probably wouldn't have got 50-50 custody. I probably wouldn't have the relationship I have with my kids now. They would probably still love me and still want a relationship with me, but they wouldn't feel comfortable with me, and it would be one of those things where they wanted to see me out of guilt as opposed to genuinely wanting to do things. It's such a simple concept and such a powerful one when you put it into practice. When you are able to realize how this game is being played, and I hate to say it's a game because it's our lives, and it doesn't feel like a game, it feels like freaking torture. Good coffee. It makes it really hard to see through these things. It makes it really tough to be able to think clearly whenever you're going through this, and that's really, really important. Focus on making memories with your kids. Not memories as in taking them to Disneyland, buying them super expensive stuff. I mean, if you can, whatever. But it has to be a connection, not a transaction. Go for walks with them. Have a conversation with them. Let them talk to you. If they have a differing opinion from you on anything, listen to them. Acknowledge that you're listening to them. Make sure that they understand that you hear what they're saying. If you have a counter view, you could say that. But you don't want the whole thing or the whole interaction to be a lecture, or where you're just like, this is the way it is. I know we want to, but you're trying to build a relationship. And to be perfectly honest, in a lot of ways, I look at this, my situation, 9 years into it. Kids I got a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 14-year-old. 14-year-old will be 15 in a couple of months. And it's taken a really long time to understand this and to put it into practice. In the beginning parts of this, it was a mess. The kids didn't know what to believe. They didn't know what to understand. They had their mom, who knows what she was telling them, but more than likely it was just focusing on my behaviors and my attitude. Oh, your dad's an angry guy. See, he gets mad. And then anytime I got mad, oh, it's so sad you have to deal with that. I don't know if that's the way she said it, but that's kind of my mind how it was, it's like, oh, come here, poor little baby. I'm so sorry that I picked such a monster for a father. You deserve so much better. If you can figure out what the other person is trying to say about you, what the story is, you're best building a relationship with your kids, building, experience, not transactions. And the last part is figure out what they're trying to say. You know what your default, mine was anger. I would get angry real easy. So find what their buttons are trying to push. When they go boop and they try to push your buttons, what are they trying to get you to do? Figure that out. And when you figure it out, do the opposite. If everyone is expecting you to explode, if they're, because your kids are going to push your buttons too. So if your kids are expecting that you're going to explode, don't. Make a concerted effort not to. If you think you will, you end the conversation and you go to your room, or you go to the garage, or you do something and you give yourself the time to calm yourself down, to get back control over your emotions, so that you're not provoked into doing something that you don't really want to do. Now, that's super tough. I mean, I'll give you that, because there were many times where I would get provoked and I would explode. I mean, even sometimes at the kids. And every time I did that, all it did in their mind was reinforce that image, that alienation image of what I was. Figure out what they're trying to get you to do. Do the opposite. It'll really help. The other thing on this is it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. When I started doing this and I realized that I had to change how I was doing it, and I had nobody else to talk to say, hey, this is the way I went through, this is how I did it. I didn't know. I figured, oh my God, I'm going to go through this. These kids are poking me in the eye. Their mom is poking me in the eye. And maybe in their 20s, maybe I'll get a conversation with them where they'll say, wow, Dad, you really weren't so bad. You were trying to do the good thing. You know how hard that is whenever your oldest is, what was he, 13? You probably know, because you're probably living it. But you're doing this and you're looking at it going, oh my God, maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, I'll get some validation that what I'm trying to do is helping. And during the course of that, I mean, to be perfectly honest, there were times I'm like, is this worth it? I am beating myself up. The ex is ungrateful. The kids are ungrateful. Nobody gives a crap. They've already got their vision of who I am and what I am, which in my mind, I was looking at it going, holy crap, that's exactly what happened with me and my dad. I mean, it's like this is playing right out. And I took a step back and made some active decisions to try to change the tide on that. And thank God I've been successful on it. Does that mean that the kids think their mom's a pile of crap and they've disowned her? No. No, they love their mom. My oldest kind of gets it. He understands it more, sees it, and he hates it, right? I mean, he hates every day to realize that his family's messed up. My middle daughter, I can't figure her out. She's decided to stay with her mom all the time, and you know, who knows why. I'm sure it's a golden child thing, and she gets away with stuff over there, but who knows? And the youngest one, you know, she's 14. We got to wait to see what's going to happen with that. Take the time you have. I don't care whether they're 17 or they're 5. Try to change. If the way things are going today are not working, if your relationship isn't where you want it to be, take the steps to try to make the change. Take the steps to try to rebuild that relationship. Show that you're genuinely interested in them and will listen to them. The way I had to do this early on is I would have the conversations and they would just take their bony little finger and go boop, you know, it wasn't even a boop, it was more like a jab and a twist in my eye and in my heart. And you have to bite your tongue. You have to let them speak their mind. You have to prove to them that you will listen to them, not make excuses, not like, you know, yeah, but, well, you don't understand. You know, you'll get it when you're older. Validate that their feelings are legitimate, and that's the way they feel, that's their perception, and work on it from there. I haven't talked about this in a long time. There's a lot of my older videos where I would talk more specifically about how to interact with kids and stuff. Now, if you're dealing with a narcissistic kid or you're dealing with a narcissistic person, it doesn't matter. You know, you could try everything to reason with them, but if there's a glimmer of hope in there, if there's a little, you know, if it's not completely soured, the person's not completely soured, you have a really excellent opportunity to salvage that relationship and rebuild it. I don't know if I mentioned this. I was thinking about this earlier, and I don't know if I said it, but I just want to reiterate it just in case I didn't. In a lot of ways, I think the best thing that's happened to me was this experience. Now, granted, if I would have met somebody that wasn't like this and I could have had a emotionally mature and healthy relationship, it obviously would have been a lot better, right? But obviously obvious to me now, you know, from where I came from, the relationship that I had with my own parents, my upbringing, I was destined for this, unfortunately. Because this has happened, it's forced me to take a step back and reapproach how I parent, how I interact with people, what I worry about, the whole 9 yards, and it's made my life tremendously better. The relationships with my kids are better than I think they would have been. Not that they were bad. If the divorce never happened, I think I still would have had a good, decent relationship with them, but it was already corrupted. Their mom was already, you know, trying to drive a wedge or showing that if they were fearful of me or are choosing her, that was how they got praise. And I was too stupid to see it and didn't realize it. But so I guess my message on this is that if you're in the midst of this and it feels like the worst experience that you've ever encountered, ever, there's light at the end of the tunnel. This doesn't stay as bad as it is unless you choose for it to be that way. What I mean is that if you decide this is horrible, I'm going to hate this person, I'm going to be bitter, I'm going to be angry, I'm going to let it corrupt my soul and my life, yeah, absolutely. The way you're feeling today will last until, 40 years from now, until you finally just get tired of it. Get tired of it now. Make the change now. Take your life back now. Rebuild your life, salvage what you have, rebuild it, rebuild the relationships, rebuild yourself. Make it to where you get toxic people out of your life. You purge them. They don't deserve to be there. You deserve peace. You deserve beautiful trees. You deserve the ocean, whatever. You deserve whatever makes you feel calm and happy. Find those things, embrace them, and drag your kids along for it. And on that, if you relate to this, share it in the comments below. If you're in the beginning of this and you don't even believe that this is possible, I'd like to hear that too, because I don't know how many people I've seen through this channel. I've seen that transition. I've seen the oh my God, this is horrible. This will never get better. And then months or a year later, normally it takes longer, like a year or so, you learn all this stuff, you realize it, you take your life back, you take back control. Control is probably the wrong word. And it's like, holy cow, things can get better. They can get better. They will get better. On that, hope you can get out and do something good. One thing I want to say before I wrap this up, and I know I shouldn't have said that because now people are clicking off the video, but stick with me for a second. If you have a special place that you like to go, that's beautiful. I don't care if it's a park, it's a beach, it's a lake, it's the balcony on your apartment where you can drink coffee. Send me a picture. Would love to see it. You can my email is down in the description section down at the bottom. Email it. Hey, if you want to send a physical picture, there's the address for the channel too. I'd love to see that. Some people have been doing that lately, sending me either pictures with them camping or just out exploring or fishing. It is so cool to see the different areas of the world, because it is the world. It's amazing, and to also have a better idea, or kind of like a different connection with the people on the other side of the lens. So on that, take care, and I'll catch you on the next video.